The following matchup is being played with HistoryMaker Baseball Express, a fast-playing baseball simulation board game, a property of Play Games LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. Welcome to today's episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. In today's episode, it's Happy Birthday Detroit Week, as we are going to feature one of kind of many various rivals that the Tigers have, but of course, it has to deal with a certain city on the south side of Chicago, as it will be the 2013 Chicago Cubs look to spoil the start to Detroit's birthday party as they take on the 2013 Detroit Tigers in a epic clash here for Rivalry Night as part of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. Who will come out on top of this matchup? I guess you're going to have to tune in to find out because game one is just around the corner. But before we get there, let's have a little look and say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's very special birthday first very special, I should say, three-part birthday edition of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour for Happy Birthday Detroit Week. We would like to take this time to say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. First and foremost, thank you to Biddy Beer for sponsoring every mid-game and end-of-game summary throughout every episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Biddy Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste at a Biddy price. It's Biddy Beer. They say it's a blend of hops, rice, and barley that gives Biddy Beer its distinctive taste, but we know better. It's our brewing process that gives our beer that one-of-a-kind flavor that no premium beer can match. Our bats have never been cleaned, so there's an itty-bitty bit of history in every can. Bitty Beer, the beer for folks who can't afford better. And by Doc Cola, the official cola drink of the Play Games community. And every game that we go to extra innings, it is a Doc Cola extra innings ball game. Doc Cola uses the finest imitation ingredients to bring you that sugary blast of caffeine you've come to know and love. With twice the sugar and three times the caffeine of any other major brand, Doc Cola is sure to keep you wired from dawn till dusk. So take the Doc Cola challenge and see why our customers agree. You'll never be able to wean yourself from a refreshing Doc Cola. And by Pizza Kingdom. At Pizza Kingdom, our signature New York style pizza starts with the crust. Then we layer on a homemade pizza sauce and then load your pizza up with mounds of cheese. When it comes out of the oven, it's piping hot, golden brown, and ready for you to enjoy. And then we give that majestic culinary work of art to Mickey, our 16-year-old delivery driver who's as responsible as a tree stump. Pizza Kingdom, it's sheer perfection when it left the store. And by Suncoast Capital. At Suncoast, we live by one simple rule of investing. When your clients win, we win. And when our clients lose, we win, sort of. Suncoast Capital. You know we're gonna get all of your money anyway. And by Rubicon Wireless. Why pay $200 a month for wireless service when you can get 4 lines for just $25 a month? With our tin can plan, you can access our wireless network that covers at least 25% coast to coast between the hours 11 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. with unlimited text and messaging between those hours, of course. So why pay for a service you cannot live without? And we're just about set and ready to go for game one of this very special Happy Birthday Detroit week here for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour, as it is the city of Detroit's birthday this week. Of course, for fellow Detroiters and fellow Michiganders like me, um, are celebrating our city's birthday. And so why not? We celebrate it by playing a very special week featuring Detroit, many various Detroit Tigers teams this week for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Today's featured team will be the 2013 Tigers as they take on their division arch rivals from the city of on the south side of Chicago, the Chicago White Sox. Your starting pitching matchup for game one of this Rivalry Night series is as follows. It is ace for ace. Justin Verlander will go on the hill for the Tigers, and he will be opposed by Chris Sale. JB has semi-star, flash, and semi-control, while Chris Sale has full star, full flash, and full control. This game is every game in this series is played with History Maker Baseball Express. And without further delay, JB says he's ready to go. Alejandro De Aza is ready to go. He will lead things off for the White Sox. Let's play ball from Comerica Park here in Detroit, Michigan. We'll get game one started with a 3-4-5. Star pitcher on JV. He's a semi-star. The decider die says he is not, though. Sad sack on De Aza. He's not a sad sack. That'll be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash or control. And it seems Verlander has full flash, so that 3 will be reduced to a 2. The decider die was used to check if JV was a star or not. So, does JV have control? He most certainly does. So, from 3 to a 2 with flash, and from 2 to a 1 for control, that'll put Alejandro De Aza on at first base for Alexei Ramirez to hit off the men on base chart. We have a 25. Ironfield, yes, 25. Ironfielder commits the error. Austin Jackson is a neutral fielder, so therefore that is going to be a ground out, and that will seal up the deal for the first inning of play, the first half inning of play, I should say, here at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. The White Sox come away with nothing, and now the Tigers are coming to bat in their half of the first inning. This roll is for the bottom half of the first. 2-4-6. Star on sale. You bet there is a star on printed out on his card. So therefore, it's going to be a no runs result of a 4 blank off of Torrey Hunter. And that is going to do it for the first inning of play here at Comerica Park with the White Sox and Tigers all dead even at a big fat goose egg. 3-5-5. Is Justin Verlander a star pitcher? He is a semi-star. This time the decider die says, I'm not behaving for you, JV. He doesn't have star. Do we have a champ on Alex Rios? We do not. It seems we're going to get a no runs result of a 5 dot, and that will seal up the deal for the first inning and a half of this one here at Comerica Park. The score remains at a deadlock zip-to-zip tie between the White Sox and the Tigers. One, two, three. Workman or struggler on sale? Champ on Miguel Cabrera. He is a semi-champ. The decider die says yes, he is. That'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Miguel Cabrera is a semi-stoic runner. The decider die says he is. Wow. So therefore, that one will be reduced to a big fat goose egg, and it will be a no runs result of a 3 dot. And that will seal up the deal. Both starters are on their games today here in game one of this episode of Rivalry Night, with your score still at a big fat goose egg between the White Sox and the Tigers. 246. Star on JV. Will the decider die behave? Yes, it will. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 2 blank, and that will seal up the deal for the first 2.5 innings of this one. The score remains deadlocked at 0-0 between the White Sox and the Tigers. 115. Struggler on Sale. Get out of here. When is Chris Sale ever a struggler? Utility on Prince Fielder. Get out of here. When is the Prince ever a utility batter? Therefore, it'll be a men on base result, -1 for the black die if flash. Chris Sale has flash from 5 to a 4. That'll put runners at the corners for VMart, Victor Martinez. He will take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 25. Iron fielder commits the error. Paul Konerko is a semi-iron fielder. The decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, it'll be an error on Paulie, and that will advance the run for 90. The runners 90 feet. So the Tigers are going to draw first blood here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night, as they lead it 1-0 thanks to a Paul Konerko error. And it will be Andy Dirks to hit now for the Tigers against Chris Sale for the Chicago White Sox off the men on base chart. 14. Scrapper hits single. Andy Dirks is not a scrapper, so therefore that is going to be a double. So 2 runs are going to come across to score. The Tigers now are busting it this game wide open, as it is 3-0 Detroit, thanks to Andy Dirks, a 2 RBI double. That is going to bring up Johnny Peralta off the men on base chart. We have a 12. Slugger hits home run. Johnny Peralta is a semi-slugger. However, the decider die says he is not. So therefore, it will be a single. A run will indeed come across home to score, thanks to runners advancing 2 bases. So therefore, it is now 4-0 Tigers as we end the first 3 innings here at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, for the first game of this episode of Rivalry Night. 125 on Connor Gillespie. First, we ask, is Justin Verlander not fresh? Well, again, for freshness, if you are tuning in for the first time to this episode or any of the episodes in the History Maker Baseball Express Hour, I play it as 3 full fresh and 3 semi-fresh. Since we're in the semi-freshness innings, Justin Verlander, according to the decider die, I go by as dot, he's fresh, blank, he's not. According to the decider die, Justin Verlander is not fresh. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. And it looks like Connor Gillespie is a stoic runner. So from 2 to a 1, the Sox are in business, as it'll be Dion Vicieto's turn to hit off the men on base chart. We have a 56. Patient batter draws the walk. Vicieto is not patient, so therefore it will be a contact result. Excuse me. I usually roll the red die for my contact charts. It's a 5. Champ on Vicieto. No way. He is not a champ. So therefore, it'll be a pop out to end the top half of the 4th. The Sox do get a runner on base, but they will strand him on base after 3.5 innings of play. The Tigers hang on to their 4-0 lead over the Chicago White Sox. 126. Is Sale a struggler or gilded pitcher? Nuh-uh. Hero on Avila. He is not. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Alex Avila is a slugger. However, the black die, in this case, the white number, so that way you can see the number on screen without any what without me hearing it in the comments. Like, what's the first number again, or what's the second, or what's the third number again? I can't tell what the black die number is. Well, again, it's white, so that way you guys can see it. So that way you know the white number equals the black die. In this case, the black die is not a 6. The red die is, so therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 6. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 6. Struggler, no. Gilded, no. Hero, no run. Yeah, so decided I was not used. So it'll be a no runs result of a 6 dot. That is going to put this first 4 innings of this game 1 for this episode of Rivalry Night to bed with your score: Tigers 4, White Sox nothing. 1, 2, 3. Workman or struggler on Justin Verlander. Champ on Beckham. That is going to be a no runs result, and that will seal up the deal for the top half of the 5th and the first 4.5 innings with a no runs result of a 3 blank. Your score after 4.5 innings remains 4-0 in favor of the 2013 Detroit Tigers. 255. Struggler on Sale. No way. When is Chris Sale ever a struggler? Utility on Ramon Santiago. He is a utility batter, so therefore it will be a no runs result of a 5 dot, and that will seal up the deal for the first 5 innings here at Comerica Park. Your score remains 4-0 in favor of the 2013 Detroit Tigers. 456. 456. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're still in the semi-freshest innings, and man, oh man, Justin Verlander cannot catch a break when it comes to pitcher not fresh results. In this case, the decider die says he is in considering he is not. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Tyler Flowers is a stoic runner, so therefore, from 6 to a 5, that'll place the runners on at second and third for Alejandro De Aza. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 23. Eager batter grounds out. De Aza is a semi-eager batter. The decider die says yes, he is. So, So therefore, it will be a ground out to end the top half of the 6th. The White Sox threaten but do not score. It remains Tigers 4, White Sox nothing. 346. Is the pitcher Chris Sale not fresh? Well, again, I play it as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh, with the decider die saying dot he's fresh, blank he's not. So in this case, Chris Sale is not fresh. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Austin Jackson is the current batter for the Tigers. He is a neutral runner. The bases are loaded, full of Tigers, and that is going to bring up Torrey Hunter. And that is going, before he steps into the batter's box, that is going to prompt a mound visit from the pitching coach for the White Sox. And of course, he brings the catcher with him and a member of the infield to make sure everyone is on the same page. As Torrey Hunter steps up to the plate off the men on base chart with the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The score remains 4-0 in favor of the 2013 Detroit Tigers. And it seems everyone has calmed down a bit, and we're just about set and ready to resume play off the men on base chart for Torrey Hunter. We have a 25. Iron fielder commits the error. Alexei Ramirez is not an iron fielder, so therefore it will be a ground out. Nice job by the White Sox, but again, the Tigers threaten but do not score. The Tigers still hang on to their 4-0 lead over the 2013 Chicago White Sox. 245. 245 as we begin the top half of the seventh, as JV is back out there on the mound. This will probably be his last inning, as we do see the bullpens going to work. Is JV a struggler pitcher? Get out of here. Justin Verlander is not a struggler. Is Alex Rios a utility batter? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Is Alex Rios a sad sack? He is not. Therefore, it'll be a man on base result, -1 for the black die. If flash or control, JV has full flash, so that 5 will be reduced to a 4. And according to the decider die, he does not have control. So therefore, that 5 will be reduced to only by 1. It'll be a 4, putting runners at the corners for Adam Dunn. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. Since we're past this, normally if Justin Verlander would have allowed a run during the first 6 innings, he would not have semi-fresh. But again, he retained semi-fresh because he is still pitching scoreless baseball. So with that being said, he is still considered fresh. And unfortunately, he is not, according to the decider die. So therefore, it'll be a double, and that is probably going to cut it right there for as the Tigers manager decides to say, we're cutting it right there. So the White Sox do get a run on the board as the runner on third goes home to score. The runner on first goes to third, and it would have been second and third for Paul Konerko. But again, the manager says, we're taking him out of the game. So the new pitcher for the Tigers will trot in from the bullpen for the top half of the 8th. We go to the stretch here at Comerica Park with your score: Tigers 4, White Sox 1. Three, 4, 5. Star on sale. He is a star, so therefore that's going to be a no runs result of a 3 blank. That will seal up the deal for the first 7 innings played here at Comerica Park here in Detroit, Michigan, for game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night as part of Happy Birthday Detroit Week for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. We go to the top half of the 8th by the score of Tigers 4, White Sox 1, as we see a new pitcher trotting in from the left field bullpen for the Tigers. We'll see who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems the Tigers have brought in Joaquin Benoit from the bullpen, as he has full ace, full flash, and semi-control. For this at-bat against Paul Konerko, Joaquin Benoit will have the full extent use of the control quality. That being said, we resume play here in the top half of the 8th inning with your score here for game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night: Tigers 4, White Sox 1. 1, 2, 5. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Joaquin Benoit is the bullpen arm, and he is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Do we have a champion batter on Paulie? We do not. That is going to be a no runs result of a 1 blank. Yes, 1 blank, as that will be it. All she wrote for the White Sox here in the 8th inning. Your score is Tigers 4, White Sox 8. Tigers 4, White Sox 1. We do see a new pitcher trotting in for the bullpen for the White Sox. We'll see who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems that Jesse Crane will be the new pitcher trotting in for the bullpen for the Chicago White Sox out in deep center field. Deep left center field, as he has full ace, full star, double flash, and semi-control. For this at-bat against the Prince fielder, Jesse Crane will have the full extent use of the control quality. With that being said, we resume play here to hopefully finish out this thrilling end to this game one of this episode of Rivalry Night with your score Tigers 4, White Sox 1. We get a 2-3-4. Is the pitcher not fresh? Just like Benoit? Jesse Crane is the bullpen arm, so therefore he is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Is Prince Fielder a sad sack? No way. Therefore, it'll be a men on base result, -1 for the black die if controlled. Remember, we gave Crane the full control quality for this at bat against Prince Fielder. So therefore, he does have control. So that 3 will be reduced to a 2, putting the runner on at second base for VMart, Victor Martinez. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 12. Slugger hits home run. Victor Martinez is not a slugger, so therefore that is going to be a single, and a run will indeed come across to score. It's now 5-1 Tigers, and that'll seal up the deal for the first 8 innings here for Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night here at Comerica Park. We go to the 9th, last call for the White Sox here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night with your score Tigers 5, White Sox 1. 146. Ace or dynamic on Benoit. He is an ace. That is going to be a no runs result of a 6 blank. And that, my friends, is going to go in the win column for the Tigers, as that is going to be your ball game for Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night. Your final score, the Tigers defeat the White Sox here in Game 1 of this episode of Rivalry Night with the score of 5-1. And we're just about set and ready to go for Game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night, featuring the 2013 AL Central battle between the 2013 Tigers and the 2013 White Sox. We are from the then U.S. Cellular Field, now known as Rate Field, today in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. As your pitching matchup for Game 2 will feature Jose Quintana going for the White Sox, and he will be opposed by Max Scherzer. Uh, Quintana has semi-star, full flash, and full control, while Scherzer has full star, full flash, and full control. With that being said, Quintana is all set and ready to go. Andy Dirks is ready to go as well. Let's play ball from the south side of Chicago for Game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night as part of Happy Birthday Detroit Week. 255 is what we will begin for Game 2. Is Quintana a struggler pitcher? He's not. Utility on Dirks. No way. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Quintana does have flash, so therefore that 5 will be reduced to a 4, putting runners at the corners for Johnny Peralta to hit off the men on base chart. There we go. Off the men on base chart. With a 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. Well, again, freshness, as I've been playing it, is 3 full fresh and 3 semi-fresh. Jose Quintana, therefore, is still fresh, so he will get the pop out to end the top half of the first. The Tigers threaten but do not score here in their half of the first, and now it's on the White Sox turn to bat here in the first, as it's Tigers nothing, and the White Sox are coming to bat. 113. Is Scherzer a struggler pitcher? Get out of here. No way. Utility batter on Viciedo. He is not. Therefore, it'll be an RBI question mark. And unfortunately, for the joy of the White Sox fans and the misery of the Tiger fans, we hate you guys so much. Um, it will be an RBI for the White Sox as the White Sox grab a hold of a 1-0 lead after one inning of play thanks to an RBI from Diane Viciedo. 1-4-4. Struggler pitcher on Quintana. He's not. Champ on Avila. He's not. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 4 dot. Double check. Struggler, no. Champ, no. Yes, decider die was not used. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 4 dot. And that will end things here for the top half of the second. There's still time. White Sox are still hanging on by a thin wire lead of a 1-0 lead over the Detroit Tigers. 3-4-6. 3-4-6. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're still in the freshest inning, so therefore Scherzer remains fresh. Hero on Gordon Beckham. He's a semi-hero. The decider die says he is. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Gordon Beckham is a neutral runner, so therefore that 4 is going to remain put, putting runners at the corners for Tyler Flowers to hit off the men on base chart. 16, good eye. No, Tyler Flowers does not have good eye. So therefore, Max Scherzer will get the K and the strikeout of Tyler Flowers to end the bottom half of the second. The White Sox threaten but do not score. It's still 1-0 in favor of the 2013 Chicago White Sox. 1-2-4. Ace on Quintana. No. Champ on Omar Infante. He's in for Ramon Santiago. 1-2-4. Champ. Yes, 1-2-4. Champ on Infante. No. That's going to be a no runs result of a 4 dot. And that is going to seal up the deal for the first 2.5 innings of this one here at the then U.S. Cellular Field here on the south side of Chicago with your score, White Sox 1, Tigers nothing. 3-4-4. 3-4-4. Here we go. Workman on Scherzer. He's not. Sad sack on Alejandro De Aza. He's not. That'll be a men on base result with a -1 from the black die. In this case, the white number. If Scherzer has control, and he does. So therefore, that 4 will be reduced to a 3. The White Sox are not going to play they're not going to play their trump card yet. So therefore, they're going to place the runner safely on at first and second for Alexei Ramirez to hit off the men on base chart. 12. Slugger hits home run. Good. Oh man, that is good. That is a huge break for the Tigers. Ramirez does not have slugger, so therefore it's a single. Run does come across home to score as the runner on second scores. The runner on first goes to third. It's 2-0 White Sox thanks to an Alexei Ramirez RBI single. And that is going to do it for the first 3 innings here at the then U.S. Cellular Field here on the south side of Chicago with your score. Oh, excuse me, White Sox 2, Tigers nothing. 2-4-5. 2-4-5. Here we are. Struggler on Quintana. He's not. Sad sack on Austin Jackson. No way. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If flash of control, Jose Quintana has both flash and control. So from 4 to a 2, Austin Jackson will be trotting his way to second base for Torrey Hunter to hit off the men on base chart. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. We're in the semi-freshest innings now. In this case, again, 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. And according to the decider die, Quintana says he is still fresh. So therefore, he will get the ground out to preserve the 2-0 lead for the White Sox, hoping to tie up this series at a game apiece before heading back to the Motor City for Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. We end the first 3.5 innings with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers nothing. 145. Acer dynamic on Max Scherzer. He's not. Sad sack on Avi Garcia, inserted in for Alex Rios in right field. 145. Sad sack on Avi Garcia. No, that's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If Flash, Max Scherzer does have Flash, so good job by Max, because that one will be reduced to a big fat goose egg, and it will be a no runs result of a 4 to keep this game at a 2-0 lead for the White Sox, allowing the Tigers to get a chance to come back in this one to hopefully uh, force a sweep back at Comerica Park of the Chicago White Sox. 336. Workman on Quintana. He's not. Sad sack on Miguel Cabrera. Get out of here. When is Miguel Cabrera ever a sad sack? So therefore, it will be an RBI. And wouldn't you know, folks, the decider die says yes, there will be an RBI. So therefore, the Tigers do get on the board thanks to an RBI from Miguel Cabrera. It's now White Sox 2, Tigers 1, as we head to the bottom half of the 5th inning here at the then U.S. Cellular Field here on the south side of Chicago. 235. 235. Here we are. Star pitcher on Scherzer. You better believe it. He is a star. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 3 blank. And that will seal up the deal for the first 5 innings of this one. The White Sox hang on by a 2-1 lead over the 2013 Detroit Tigers. 123. Workman or struggler on Quintana? No. Champ on the Prince? Prince Fielder. He's not a champ. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 3 blank. It's going down to the wire here. We head to the bottom of the 6th here at the then U.S. Cellular Field on the south side of Chicago with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. 246. Star pitching on Scherzer. You better believe it. He is a star. So therefore, that'll be a no runs result of a 6 blank. And that will seal up the deal for the first 6 innings of this one. The score, it remains 2-1 in favor of the Chicago White Sox. Jose Quintana is still back out there as the bullpen is getting loose and warming up here, just in case if Quintana falters, as we have a 133. Ace on Quintana. He's not. That is going to be a check of a stat sack on VMart. He is not and it will be an RBI question mark result. However, the decider die says no. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 1 blank, and that'll take us to the stretch here at the then U.S. Cellular Field here on the south side of Chicago with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. Same thing with the Tigers. Scherzer is back out there on the mound, hopefully to keep the White Sox at bay as the bullpen is getting loose and warming up for both squads. And we resume play here in the bottom half of the 7th with the score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. 124. Ace on Scherzer. He's not. Last 2 innings he has been, but unfortunately, Max Scherzer does not have ace. Do we have a champion on Connor Gillespie? And it seems we do not. So therefore, it will be a no run, one, two, four, yes, no runs result of a 2-dot. And man, oh man, folks, things are really going to get heated as we are going to go to the top half of the eighth. But before we get there, it seems we saw the manager for the White Sox shake the starter Quintana's hand, and the bullpen is ready to go to work. So therefore, we'll see who the new pitcher that the White Sox are bringing in. We'll find out who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And we're back here at US Cellular Field on the south side of Chicago with Donnie Veal on the mound for the White Sox as he has Semi Workman and Full Flash for this at bat against Andy Dirks. Donnie Veal will have the full extended use of the Workman quality. With that being said, we resume play here in the top half of the eighth with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. Still anybody's game. Let's figure out who's going to win game 2 of this episode of Rivalry Night. 2, 3, 4. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Veal came out of the bullpen. He is the freshest pitcher. So therefore, he will remain fresh for the remainder of the contest. Sad sack on Andy Dirks. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die of control. Donnie Veal does not have control. The Tigers are going to go big or go home. They're going to put the runner on at third base for Johnny Peralta to hit off the men on base chart. 23. Eager grounds out. Johnny Peralta is a semi-eager batter. However, the decider die says he is not. So therefore, it'll be a base on balls. He walked him, putting runners at the corners for Alex Avila to hit off the men on base chart. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. Oh, wow. Donnie Veal is the fresh pitcher. And of course, since he's the bullpen arm, he remains fresh for the remainder of the contest. So therefore, the White Sox will get the ground out and preserve their 2-1 lead over the Tigers as they try to tie up this Rivalry Night series to head back to the Motor City at all even at 1 game apiece. And man, oh man, the Tigers had a chance, but they did not score. We head to the bottom half of the eighth with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. We do see a new bullpen arm for the Tigers trotting in from the bullpen. We'll find out who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems that the Tigers manager has pulled out of the hat a name out of the hat, and he has chosen Drew Smiley to be the bullpen hero for the remainder of the contest, as he has semi ace, full flash, and full control for this at bat against Diane Viciedo. Smiley will have the full extent use of the full ace quality. With that being said, we resume play here in the bottom half of the eighth with your score. It's close. It's still anybody's game. It's White Sox 2, Tigers 1. One, 4, 6. Is Smiley an ace or dynamic pitcher? Remember, we gave Smiley the full ace quality, so therefore he is an ace. Good job by the Tigers manager to give him the quality, the full ace quality there to keep the score at a 2-1 game, as it'll be a no runs result of a 4-dot. We go to the top of the ninth. Last call for the Tigers. Hopefully tie or take the lead. If they do end up taking the tie, if they do end up tying or taking the lead, you'll head to the bottom of the ninth. But before we get there, you have to play the top of the ninth, and it will be last call for the Tigers as we head to the ninth inning with your score: White Sox 2, Tigers 1. Oh, we got triple two. So this is going to be a ballpark check. So I got the charts already loaded up. We'll roll the white die just in case for no runs, 2-dot. We have a 6. Is the then US Cellular Field have a grass turf? Oh, let's see. Yes, it does. So therefore, the White Sox are going to win this ball game It'll be a ground out. And that is that. The White Sox tie up this rivalry night series at 1 game apiece, thanks to a huge ground out by Omar Infante of the Tigers as we head back to the Motor City with all even up at a game apiece. It's a winner take all classic coming up next. But before we get there, let's take a look at our game summary presented by your favorite Bitty Beer products. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Bitty Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste at a bitty price. It's Bitty Beer. Once again, the final score for game 2. White Sox tie up this rivalry night series in a tight pitching duel between Quintana and Scherzer as they win it by the score of over the 2013 Tigers of 2-1. Winner takes it all as we begin this very special birthday week for the city of Detroit as we are featuring one of the best, man, oh man, probably one of the, probably maybe considered a rivalry between the Tigers and the White Sox from 2013 as we kick off Detroit's, the city of Detroit, Michigan's birthday week here for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Your pitching matchup for Game 3 is as follows: Doug Fister will be on the mound for the for the Tigers, and he will be opposed by Dylan Axelrod for the Chicago White Sox. A couple changes for the White Sox. Fegley will come in to catch, and no changes for the Tigers. With that being said, we find out if the White Sox are going to try to spoil the birthday week for the Tigers, or will the Tigers begin their birthday week um, with a bang? It's time to find out. The winner of this game will win the episode for Rivalry Night. Let's find out, who will it be? Will it be the White Sox or will it be the Tigers? It's time to find out. Let's play ball from Comerica Park here in Detroit, Michigan. We'll begin game 3 with a 1-1-6. Struggler on Fister. Get out of here. No way. Utility on Gordon Beckham. He's not. That'll be an RBI question mark check. And wow. Unbelievable. The White Sox are going to get on the board first thanks to an RBI from Gordon Beckham. Diane Vicieto did this in game 2. Man, oh man, the Tigers really need to try to shut things down here to hopefully get themselves a chance to be a part of this one here at Comerica Park for game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night. We head to the bottom half of the inning with your score: White Sox 1 and the Tigers coming to bat. 1-5-6. Ace on Axelrod. No. 1-5-6. Satsak on Jackson. He's not. That'll be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Dylan Axelrod has semi-flash, and according to the decider die, he does not. So therefore, that is going to put the runners on at second and third for Torrey Hunter to hit off the men on base chart. 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. And again, I play freshness again as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. Since Axelrod is fresh, he will get the pop out to end the top half of the first with the bad boys from Chicago up in front of the good guys from Detroit, 1-0 after 1 inning of play. 1-2-6. Struggler Gilded on Fister. No. Hero batter on Josh Fegley. He's not. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run Josh Begley does not have a slugger or home run king, so therefore it will be a no runs result of a 6 dots, and that will do it for the first inning and a half of this one here at Comerica Park here in Detroit with your score: bad guys 1, good guys nothing. Two, 5, 6. Workman on Axelrod. He's not. Sadsack on Miguel Cabrera. Get out of here, will you? Miguel Cabrera is not a sad sack. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result, -1 for the black die if flash. Dylan Axelrod has semi-flash, and this time he does. So from 2 to a 1, that'll put the runners on at first for Prince Fielder to hit off the men on base chart. Are you kidding me? 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. And again, Axelrod is still fresh. Therefore, he's going to get the pop out. And therefore, the Tigers will leave a runner on as the bad guys from Chicago still lead the good guys from Detroit 1-0. 3-5-5. Star pitcher on Doug Fister. He is a semi-star. However, the decider die says he's not. Champ on Alejandro De Aza. He's not. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 5 dot, and that will seal up the deal for the first 2.5 innings of this one. The bad guys from Chicago lead the good guys from Detroit 1-0. 3-4-6. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're still in the freshest inning, so therefore Dylan Axelrod is still fresh. Hero on VMart. He's a semi-hero. The decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, that is going to end up being a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Oh, VMart is a stoic runner, so therefore, from bases loaded to a runners on second and third situation for Andy Dirks. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart. Try to stay away from 13 if you possibly can. And yes, you did. 15. Scrapper hits double. Unfortunately, Andy Dirks is not a scrapper. Therefore, this one is going pie. It is far. It is going, gone. The Tigers take a 3-1 lead thanks to an Andy Dirks 3-run home run, and the good guys from Detroit now lead the bad guys from Chicago 3-1 after 3 innings of play. 3-4-6. Pitcher not fresh. Well, now we're in the semi-freshest innings now, so therefore Doug Fister is not fresh according to the decider die, and I play it as dot. He's still fresh. Blank. He's not. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment on Alexei Ramirez. Ramirez is a semi-active runner, so therefore he is not. So therefore, you can't go higher than a 6. So the bases are loaded, full of White Sox for Mini Miggy, Avi Garcia. 12. Slugger hits home run, and my God, are you serious? Oh, come on. Avi Garcia is a semi-slugger. The decider die says yes, he is. That is going to be a grand slam. The fine folks here in Detroit are booing the crap load out of Avisayo Garcia as he trots down the base paths really slowly to allow the White Sox to jump ahead of the Tigers by 2. It's now bad guys from Chicago 5 and the good guys from Detroit 3. We resume action on the men on base chart with a 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. Since we're in the semi-freshest innings, Doug Fister is still fresh. So therefore, he will get the pop out to end the top half of the fourth, but not before damage was done as the White Sox jump for an Avisail Garcia grand slam as they now lead it 5-3 over the Tigers. And it's the we got triple threes, so this is going to be an experience check. Let me see here, just in case, for no runs purposes. 3 dot. We'll roll the white die for this one. 3 dot is the no runs narrative. 3 blank is going to be our look at for experience, and we ask, is Johnny Peralta an icon batter? You better believe it, he is. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result. Oh man, that is going to put him on at first base. That would have been, oh man, it's two, actually 4, 5, or a 6 would have been nicer. Jeez. So with that being said, continue on off the men on base chart for Alex Avila. 36. Active batter gets runners advance to bases single plus a stolen base. Unfortunately, Avila is not an active runner, and I usually play it by the running quality, so I'm not sure if that's how it goes. But let me know down in the comments if I'm playing that correctly or not. So therefore, it will be a contact result. And I usually roll the red die for my contact chart results. It's a 2. Sat sack on Avila. No. The Tigers creep a little bit closer now. It's all of a sudden a 1-run game now, as it is now White Sox 5 and the Tigers 4. And it seems, yes, the Tigers manager shook the hand of Doug Fister. You've allowed enough. We're not going to push it any further. We're going to go to the bullpen, and that's what they're going to do. So we do see a new pitcher for the Tigers trotting in for the bullpen. Find out who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And it seems the Tigers manager has decided to bring in Bruce Rondon as he has semi-star, full flash, and semi-control. For this at-bat against Paul Konerko, Rondon will have the full extent use of the star quality. With that being said, again, Bruce Rondon will have the full extent use of the star quality. With that being said, for this at bat against Paul Konerko, so with that being said, the White Sox still hang on by a 5-4 lead over the good guys from Detroit. 356. 356. Here we are. Workman on Rondon. He is not. That is going to be a check of a champion batter on Paul Konerko. He's not. That'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Paul Konerko is a semi-slugger. However, the black die is not a 6. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 5. Just make sure here. Workman, no. Excuse me. Workman, no. Champ, no. Yes, decided I was not used. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 5 dot. Now we'll seal up the deal for the first 4.5 innings of this one here at Comerica Park, here in Detroit, Michigan, with your score: bad guys from Chicago 5 and the good guys from Detroit 4. Into 6. Struggler or gilded on Axelrod? He's a semi-struggler. However, the Decider Die says he's not. Do we have a champion batter on Omar Infante? We do not. So therefore, it will be a no runs result with a possibility. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. 126. Struggler gilded. Hang on. Struggler gilded on Axelrod. Again, he does not have it according to the Decider Die. I read that wrong. Sorry. Hero batter on Omar Infante. He is a full hero, so therefore it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Omar Infante is a neutral runner. It's a start. That'll place the runner on at first base for Austin Jackson to hit off the men on base chart. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. We're in the semi-freshest innings now, and Dylan Axelrod, man, oh man, I'm hoping for the White Sox manager to shake his hand after this inning. He will get the ground out as he is fresh. Therefore, that is going to do it. And and my wish has come true. Dylan Axelrod will have his hand shook by his manager on a job well done, not against the good guys from Detroit as the bad guys from Chicago lead it 5-4 over the good guys, the birthday city in the Detroit Tigers. 2-3-5 to begin this top half of the sixth. 2-3-5. Here we are. Star pitcher on Rondon. He's a semi-star. The decider die says he is not. Sad sack on Connor Gillespie. He's not. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If 2-3-5. Yes, -1 for the black die. If flash, Rondon has flash, so that 3 will be reduced to a 2. Putting the runner on at second base for Diane Viciedo to hit off the men on base chart. 12, man. Slugger hits a home run. Diane Viciedo is a semi-slugger. The decider die says yes, he is. Therefore, the White Sox are going to pat on their lead. It's now 7-4 in favor of the White Sox as they are trying to spoil the beginning of the birthday week for the city of Detroit, Michigan, as the bad guys from Chicago did not bring any pleasantries to the birthday party, as we were being told, and that kind of sucks. As the bad guys from Chicago now lead it 7-4 over the good guys from Detroit. We continue to roll on the men on base chart with bases empty. With a 23 on Gordon Beckham. Eager batter grounds out. And again, Beckham is a semi-eager batter, and the decider die says he's not. So therefore, it will be a walk. He walked him. The Tigers' pen are starting to implode here as they are down by 3 runs. It is the bad guys from Chicago 7 and the good guys from Detroit 4. We continue to roll on the men on base chart with a 26. Home run king, it's home run. Begley does not have home run king, so therefore it will be a contact result. I am hoping for the red die to land on 6 here. No, it's a 4. Champ or hero, Begley does not have either, so therefore it will be a ground out to end the top half of the 6th, but not before damage was done, as the bad guys from Chicago pat onto their lead. It is now 7-4 in favor of the bad guys from Chicago and over the good guys from Detroit, as we do see a new bullpen arm trotting in from the bullpen for the bad guys. We'll see who that is. Take this really quick. Timeout. And it seems the White Sox will bring in Addison Reed for the to pitch here for Chicago, as he will have semi-star, full flash, and semi-control. This at bat against Torrey Hunter. Addison will have the full extent use of the full control quality. With that being said, we resume action here in the bottom half of the 6th with your score: bad guys from Chicago 7 and the good guys from Detroit 4. 4-4-6. Here we are. 4-4. Yes, 4-4-6. Do we have a star pitcher on Reed? It seems we have a semi-star and again, we gave Reed the full extent use of the control quality. So with that being said, Reed does have semi-star, and the decider die says he does not. Hero on Hunter. He is a hero. It's a start. And on base result with a base running adjustment. Oh, Torrey Hunter is a semi-stoic runner. Oh, and he is. So therefore, they're not going to pull the trump card yet. They want runs. So they're going to go with runners on first and second. for the big man, Miguel Cabrera, to hit off the men on base chart. 56. Excuse me. Patient draws the walk. Miguel Cabrera is a semi-patient batter. However, the decider die says he's not. Therefore, it will be a contact result. We have a 5. Champ on Miguel Cabrera. He's a semi-champ. The decider die says yes, he is. The Tigers creep a little bit closer. It's now all of a sudden 7-5 in favor of the bad guys from Chicago. After 6 innings of play, the score is now 7-5 in favor of the bad guys from Chicago. Into 4. Ace on Rondon. He's not. Champ on Deaza. He's not. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 4 dot. That's a start. We head to the stretch here at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, with your score: the bad guys from Chicago 7 and the good guys from Detroit 5. 3-4-6 as we resume play here in the bottom half of the 7th. 3-4-6. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, Addison Reed is the fresh arm out of the bullpen, so he will remain fresh for the remainder of the contest. Hero batter on Prince Fielder. He is a semi-hero, and the decider die says he is not. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Prince Fielder has slugger. The black die is not a 6, so therefore it'll be a no runs result of a 6 blank, and that will seal up the deal for the first 7 innings here at Comerica Park, with the bad guys from Chicago leading the good guys from Detroit by the score of 7-5. 4-6-6. Workman on Rondon. He's not. Hero on Alexei Ramirez. He's a semi-hero. The decider die. Yes. Decider die says he is not. So therefore, no runs with a possibility of a solo home run. Alexei Ramirez does not have either home run king or slugger. So therefore, that is going to do it for the top half of the 8th for the bad guys from Chicago, as they still lead it over the good guys from Detroit. 7-5 as we head to the bottom half of the 8th inning. 2-2-6. Ace on Reed. No. 2-2-6. Here we are. Utility on V-Mart. No way. That is going to be an RBI question mark check. And it seems the decider die says no. Let me just make sure. Ace, no. Utility, no. Yes, decider die was not used. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 6 dot. And that will seal up the deal for the first 8 innings here at Comerica Park for Game 3 of this episode of Rivalry Night, as the bad guys from Chicago look to spoil the start of the birthday week for the city of Detroit, as they lead it as we head to the 9th inning by the score of 7-5. 3-4-6. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Rondon is the bullpen arm. He is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Hero batter on Avi Garcia. He's not. That is going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. The black die is not a 6. Avi Garcia has semi slugger. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result. Yes, no runs result of a 3 dot. Last call for the Tigers as they look to pounce on the bad guys from Chicago, as they lead it 7-5 over the Tigers. 2-4-6. Star on Reed. He's a semi-star. The Decider Dice says he's not. Champ on Dirks. He's not. That is going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Andy Dirks does not have either home run king or slugger qualities. Therefore, the bad guys from Chicago are going to begin this birthday week for Detroit with a series dub and spoil the start of the birthday week for the city of Detroit as they defeat the 2013 Tigers 2-1, and they win game 3 by the final score of 7-5. Well, it seems you can't win them all as the Chicago White Sox spoil the start to this Happy Birthday Detroit week as they defeat the Tigers in today's episode of Rivalry Night. But never fear, the Tigers still have a chance to come back for a epic birthday showdown. As next time we will have on the very latest edition of World Series Rewind, as we will revisit the epic clash between the Tigers and the Padres from the 1984 Fall Classic. With that being said, who will come on top of this one? I guess you're going to have to tune in to find out for yourself next time here on the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour that was being played with History Maker Baseball Express. We look forward to bringing you more matchups of Rivalry Night, World Series Rewind, Cross Era Showdown, and a blast from the past as we revisit some classic and memorable games from Major League Baseball throughout the 2026 Major League Baseball regular season.